What's up guys, it's Jackington. I am back with another unboxing and first impressions, this time with the new iPhone Air. This is Apple's thinnest ever iPhone. And I also have the iPhone Air MagSafe battery accessory as well, so we'll take a look at this too. But I mean, we'll start off with the phone, and Apple is really showing off just like how thin this thing is. I also unboxed the 17 Pro Max, and you can see how on those are just showing the back of the phone. They're really showing off the design and the bold new colors. And interestingly, they didn't call this the 17 Air, it's just Air. So I think they're trying to sort of position this as like a whole new category of phone that sits in between the standard phone and the Pros. That's aimed more at anyone out there that actually wants a super slim phone. But despite it being so thin, they have managed to pack a lot of tech in here. Some of it is the same as what we've seen on the Pros, so let's get this unboxed and take a look. Oh wow, that is crazy. What? That is so thin. So we do also have in the box a USB-C cable and no SIM ejector tool because all of the iPhone Airs everywhere are eSIM only. And of course, no Apple stickers, sad times. Whoa. So the Pros this year all swapped over to aluminium, but the Air remains titanium, and it has this like polished titanium frame, and already I am starting to see my fingerprints all over it. But I mean, it does look incredible, but this is definitely going to be a bit of a fingerprint magnet. But just feeling it in the hand, like this thing feels like you're just holding like a piece of glass now. Like this doesn't feel like any iPhone I've ever held before. So let's boot it up. So I've just finished setting this up as a completely blank phone so we can take a look around. This thing is ridiculously thin. It is 5.6 millimeters. But we do still have all of the same like buttons around the outside. We've still got the sleep wake button, the camera control, which I was really surprised to even see here. We have the volume controls on the other side, the action button. On the bottom, there are no speakers. The only speaker here is in the earpiece, so it is mono audio only. But we do, shockingly, have a USB-C port. I did kind of think that, you know, if they were going to sacrifice anything on a thin phone, they would just get rid of the C port and keep MagSafe. But no, it is here. However, it is limited to USB 2 speeds, which is, I think, 480 megabytes per second. So this is going to be pretty slow if you do ever need to transfer any data with a cable. And also, I hate to point this out, but the C port is not centered on the phone. It is slightly closer towards the back of the phone. So if that's going to bother anyone, I'm really sorry for pointing that out. But I think that's because the display has to like wrap round under itself. So there's literally just no space for them to have it centered here. So this was just the only way. Now there is no physical SIM slot because they just apparently couldn't fit one in. So they've had to just go full eSIM on this everywhere in the world to maximize that internal space for all the components. You will notice up here we have, like on the Pros, a plateau, although it is not quite as tall. But this is what has enabled Apple to create such a ridiculously thin phone. They have literally shoved all of the components, the chips, everything that they need to make the phone work into this plateau and left the rest of the phone for just the battery to maximize the space to get the best battery life that they could. And one of the things that they've had to do because this is so thin is you'll notice the dynamic island does sit quite a lot lower from the top of the phone. Kind of hard to see with this wallpaper, but with the 17 Pro Max you can see there is quite a bit of a gap just above the island. Now just come in a few different finishes. We get space black, light gold, sky blue, and this nice cloud white, which I went for because, I don't know, I just think it kind of really complements the design and it's a nice really clean look. In a bit of a contrast to the bold Cosmic Orange Pro Max that I decided to go for. But the Air does share a surprising amount of tech with the Pros. So to begin, we have ceramic shield on the front, which Apple says offers 3 times better scratch resistance and 4 times better crack resistance on the rear, which is all glass here. With the display, the Air sits between the Pro and the Pro Max. Now, I've got the Pro Max here, which has the largest display, but just to give you a bit of a comparison, here's how they sort of stack up. So, you know, we live in the world of big phones now, so you're definitely not going to reach the top of the phone. But it is a nice size, and I think it really complements just the overall form factor. It's nice having not such a bulky phone because sometimes, as much as I love the big battery in the 17 Pro Max, this is a big phone to carry around. The Air just feels so much sleeker in the hand. Like I really can't get over this. Size-wise, we're talking a 6.5-inch Super Retina XDR display, that is pretty similar to the Pros now. I mean, it has ProMotion with up to 120 Hertz, as with all of the iPhones this year, which is great. We get up to 3000 nits of peak outdoor brightness, so this should make it easier to see the screen outdoors. The Air also shares the same chip as the Pros, which is kind of unbelievable. They both come with the A19 Pro, although they are slightly different. So while they both have a 6-core CPU, the Air does just have a 5-core GPU. That's one less than the Pros this year. I'm guessing they probably had to disable one of them for heat and performance reasons because of just how insanely thin this phone is. One of the reasons why Apple said that they switched over to aluminium in the new Pros is because aluminium is like a better conductor of heat versus titanium. And also, only the Pros come with that vapor chamber, which is going to help distribute the heat more evenly. There is no vapor chamber here on the Air because, I mean, where on earth are they going to put it? So this phone potentially could heat up quite a lot. I mean, I guess I'm going to have to spend some time with it to find out. And for anyone that likes numbers, I will do a Geekbench test and put that on screen comparing to the 17 Pro Max and the 16 Pro Max from last year. Now, the reason why I decided to get the Air is because I felt like I had to, see it and use it in person to really understand it. But the one thing that has sort of, put me off slightly is the camera, the single camera that is on the back. For anyone that knows me on the channel, I'm a bit of a camera guy. I love using the iPhone as almost like a main camera. It is the camera that I take everywhere and I love shooting with it. So going from 3 cameras to 1 is going to be interesting. It'll be an interesting challenge, but it'll be fun to try out. But spec-wise, it's looking like the rear camera on the Air is the same sensor as on the standard 15 from a couple of years ago. They're just using a newer version of the photonic engine to do all of that post-processing. And that's not too dissimilar from what they're doing with the Pros. I mean, this is still using the same main sensor from the 15 Pros. As with most modern smartphones now, so much is done through computational photography that it's almost more on the post-processing than it is on the sensors themselves. But this is a 48 megapixel fusion camera defaulting to 24 megapixels. So opening up the camera app, you'll see we have 2 buttons on the bottom. We have 1 and 2x. I will take a few test shots, but it's probably raining now, so they might be confined to indoors in the studio. But yeah, I will definitely try this camera out because I think it's going to be a bit of a fun challenge to see what you can do with it. In terms of video specs, we do get 4K 60 Dolby Vision, but we don't get any of like the ProRes or the Apple Log features, as those just remain on the Pros. But from a usability standpoint, as I said with the Pros, I think that the front camera is actually more interesting. So this is an 18 megapixel, what Apple is calling center stage front camera. So if you've used center stage on the iPads, you'll know that those use a super wide angle field of view and then they sort of follow you around the room for FaceTime or whatnot. That's not what this is on the iPhones. Instead, what they're doing is they're using a square sensor. And with that, you can take a vertical or horizontal photo, regardless of which way you're holding the phone. So in the camera app now, if we flip it around to the front camera, there is a new button and pressing it switches into horizontal. So you can take your group shots with your friends, but not have to awkwardly hold the phone sideways. It will actually automatically detect if there are more people in the frame and change the aspect ratio for you. So yeah, I can't wait to try this out more. For battery life, Apple is saying that this has all-day battery life, and they are kind of, in their specs page, they only talk about video playback times. So for the iPhone Air, they're saying that you'll get up to 27 hours of video playback, in comparison to the 37 hours on the Pro Max. Now, I think that we all sort of expected that on a phone that is this thin. It has a smaller battery. It's going to have less battery life. However, they did also come out with this. This is the iPhone Air battery. Now, do you remember the MagSafe battery a few years ago, which they just never updated to USB-C? Well, they finally have, but this is only for the iPhone Air. So this is the new MagSafe battery. It has a USB-C port down on the bottom, and that is it. There's no indicator lights or anything else that I can see. And what they're saying is you need to buy the MagSafe battery if you want longer battery life on the Air. But they did say these two together combined extends the Air's battery life now up to 40 hours of video playback. So that now exceeds the Pro Max's. So that is a pretty impressive battery life, although of course we are now adding some bulk to the phone, which kind of does defeat the purpose. But it doesn't seem to be charging the phone right now, so I guess it has no power at all. Now, I am kind of surprised that this even has MagSafe after what happened with the lack of MagSafe on the 16E. I did think that they would either go one way or the other. They'd either give it MagSafe and no C port, or give it a C port and no MagSafe to really maximize the internal space in the phone. But yeah, they gave us both, and I'm glad that it does have MagSafe because, as you know, I'm a big fan of the whole MagSafe ecosystem. There's just so many accessories out there that you can just stick to the back of your phone, from power banks to mounts to wallets. And with the Pixel 10s now essentially having MagSafe in the back, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more MagSafe accessories in the ecosystem. Like every iPhone this year, the Air starts with 256 gigs of base storage. That's great. And it starts from £999 or dollars. And if you want to add the MagSafe battery pack, well, that's going to add an extra 100 on top, which now takes you to the price of the iPhone 17 Pro. So there is only $100 difference between the Air and the Pro. So what are we compromising on the Air? Well, we've already talked about battery life. We've talked about potential heat issues or heat management with performance. We're compromising on cameras, but we do get an incredibly thin breakthrough design, as Apple are calling it. So I am going to spend some more time with this and yeah, see how I feel about it in a few days' time. But yeah, first impressions, this thing is like, it just feels insane in the hand to hold. If you can, like, go to the store and hold it for yourself, then do, because I mean, you kind of have to hold it to believe it. This is maybe a precursor to a potential folding iPhone. I mean, I can certainly imagine two of these next to each other with a single screen and a hinge in the middle. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see where they go with the Air, especially as there is no number on it. So are they going to refresh it next year? But I will be reviewing this to see what it's actually like to use. Like, what are the real world compromises here? So comment below if there's anything you want to see in the review, and get subscribed to make sure that you see it first. Along with the 17 Pro Max, my unboxing and first impression should already be live for that, so I will link to that below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, give it some hype. If you want to follow me on Instagram or Threads, you can find me with @itsjackington, and I'll probably share some like early thoughts and early photos on there too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.